Okay, so the first step is getting all these bolts here loose and out. Get that off. And then this clip right here will be snapped onto your axle. You'll get that off. Then you pull these 6 8mm hex bolts out. This thing's got these hooks in here. You just push in on it and give it a little bit of a turn and this will come off. Gaskets are hard to find. If you've got one of those, you're lucky. And then this spring will just pop off. If you clean this thing up here a little bit, you'll see that there's a ring around the inside of here. Pull that ring out. Now here is where you need to be extra careful, because there's a little spring and a ball that holds this thing in its position. You know, when you turn it from free to lock and free to lock, it's got a little ball and a spring that pops out right here. So as you pop this thing loose, be really careful you don't lose that. I'm going to take that ball and I'm just going to drop it right here in the can. And then there's a spring. Little tiny spring right here. If that doesn't want to come out right now, that's fine. I'll get it out later. Also, there's a seal around this, and if you're going to be soaking this in any kind of solvent, you're not going to want to get that seal in it. It'll mess that seal up. So I'm going to pull that seal off. I'm going to set this over here with the gasket. This thing is hooked in right here with these little tangs. There's one on each side here. So what you need to do is just pull it out on this thing a little bit, and then we're just going to rotate this thing, just a little bit, and it'll pop out. Kind of hard to see with this thing being as dirty as it is, but if you look at these tangs that poke in right here, there's a spring right here that runs around the inside of this thing that was threaded into this. You'll take that spring and give it a little bit of a spin here, just kind of unthread it from this piece. Almost like putting a key on a keychain. It'll just unthread. Okay. And then this piece, there's a clip in here that holds this piece, the moving part, inside of here. Okay, so just pop that clip loose like that. Pop that thing off of there. Okay, and once you've got that out, you're left with this one clip in here that's holding the bushing in, and you'll need to just kind of get in behind it. This bushing will fall out, and then you've got everything at least completely disassembled. So I'm going to take all these parts and drop them in a bucket here so they can be rinsed. I'll put some old gas in there, just rinse those off. Okay, the most critical part of this overhaul is this bushing piece right here. It should look about like this, where you can see the little round dimples in here, like a little golf ball. When these things get torn up, they get really bad. I mean, ragged to the point where you've got the bushing gone and metal shards sticking off of this thing, like this one right here. And then the piece that mates that is this one right here. You should make sure that this one's nice and smooth as well. When these things get worn out, they'll have ridges in them and worn out like a really bad bearing. Not to say that any of the other parts can't get damaged, but I don't usually see a lot of damage on the rest of this stuff. Okay, I'll start by installing this bushing here. If you look at it, you can see where your outside clip was, so that's really easy to identify. Just drop that in. Get your clip located, get it in place. Okay, get that locked in. Okay, there's this washer that goes down in here, and I'm going to be kind of greasing everything a little bit as we go. Grease that washer on the inside and the outside. Then you can drop your gear down in there. I'm going to want to grease that surface where it gets on that bushing right there. I'll take this gear right here, drop it in there so it makes contact with that bushing right there, like that. Should spin freely. Then I'm going to take this piece right here, set it down just to hold that up, hold this piece up while I install the clip. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the dial part. Grease this a little bit. Put my spring in there. Then we'll install the seal. Like that. I'm going to go ahead and grease the outside of this a little bit. Okay. Then we'll take our little ball, install the ball right there. Let me take this ring right here. If you look on the inside, you'll see there's two little notches, one where it's at the lock and one where it's free. You're going to want to get that ball into one of those when you install this. So I'm going to grease the inside of this up real well. I'll take this, I'll find that little notch, get that ball in there, then pop that into place until it comes out here flush like that. Put that down. And you take your little spring that holds this in place, pop that in, make sure that it locks down all the way. And this dial should move back and forth between lock and free pretty easy. I'm going to take this piece right here. As you recall, we unwound this thing to get it off of here. I'm just going to kind of open it up like you do a key. You put a new key on a key ring. Just kind of wind it around. Thread it back on there. Okay, and you'll spin that all the way around until it comes up against this little pawl right here. When you look at this little gear right here, you'll see that it has like an open spot and a little slot down through it. We're going to run this spring. This is the side we were just working with here. You can see where we've got our spring hooked on here. We're going to take this loose piece on the inside right here, and we're going to just start it right there in that, and we're going to thread that in there. Exactly the reverse of the way that we took it out. There's just a little channel right in here that you run that thing into. And once you get it started, you just kind of pull out on this thing, because it's got these things here that are going to interfere with this. So you just gently pull out on it, keep turning it. Okay, you can see now I've run this thing around until it comes right back up underneath itself right there. You can see how it threads in underneath there, and then you've got your tabs sticking in between the two marks here and there. And I'll grease this. I'm going to grease this whole section up. Okay. And you take the spring. You're going to want to put the tighter wound section onto this part, and you'll put it up against here. You find your little tabs there, that tab and that tab, and they're going to go right into these here. And you'll just put it in like that. If you want to wind it all the way down clockwise until it seats, that's fine too. That's in the free position right there, so we're pulled out and away. Alright, when you go to put this in, you're going to want to find your two little tabs, that thing right there, sticking through there and there, and you'll line those up with these notches on your hub that they don't have these little tabs sticking down. It's like open all the way. So you take that and you just line it up right there like that, and it goes together. Then just bolt it on the truck.